on nobody. You know why? Because he don't got nothing to say. He not even speaking on nothing over there. Doesn't be there for his child that he begged for, but telling you he wants another one. Let me guess. He's telling you he want a son, right? He has a son. He has a son. He just doesn't like his son's sexual preference, so he acts like he doesn't have a son. He has a son. We have a son who is very much alive and...
Baby, stop whatever you are doing right now, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, and clear your schedule because the internet just officially fractured in half. Welcome back to Tea with Stella. I am Stella, and honey, when I tell you the foundation of the entire entertainment industry is crumbling under our feet today, I am not exaggerating by a single millimeter. For months we watched the quiet whispers, the subtle shade, the deleted posts, and the cold physical distance. But what just happened in the last 2 hours makes every single past Hollywood breakup look like a civilized Sunday school picnic. We are talking about a full-scale, scorched earth total tactical demolition. Papoose has officially stepped up, looked straight into the digital lens, and publicly dumped Claressa shields in front of millions of live viewers. But honey, if you think this was just a normal messy breakup, you are wildly mistaken. This didn't happen in a vacuum. This nuclear fallout was triggered by the most shocking career-destroying nude leak in modern pop culture history. And just when Papoose thought he had delivered the ultimate final blow, just when he thought he walked away as the cold, unbothered victor, Claressa Shields just dropped a bombshell that has sent shockwaves directly through the courtroom, the record labels, and the highest levels of the industry. She didn't just respond. She blew the entire cover story wide open. You need to listen to every single word of this episode, from this very second to the final breath, because every single piece of this puzzle connects to a web of lies so deep, somebody's freedom might actually be on the line. Let's get straight into it. To truly understand the absolute catastrophic magnitude of what just exploded across our screens today, we have to peel back the layers of a dark, twisted timeline that has been quietly festering in the shadows for over 2 years. This was never just a romance. It was a ticking time bomb wrapped in millions of dollars, extreme egos, and deep-rooted industry secrets. Let's retrace the steps back to where this chaotic dynamic first caught the public's eye. When Papoose and Remy Ma's legendary 2-decade marriage began publicly fracturing under the weight of alleged betrayals, hidden ring camera footage, and brutal internet shade, the entire culture was holding its breath. For 20 years, Papoose built his entire public identity around being the ultimate, unwavering ride-or-die partner. He was the standard. He was the man who stood by his woman through the absolute worst trials, through prison sentences, through industry sabotage, and through public humiliation. So when that union collapsed into a cold, silent void of unfulfilled promises and distant court filings, the public was left asking one massive question. Where does a man like Papoose go when his entire reality is shattered? The answer came faster, louder, and far more recklessly than anyone could have ever predicted. Enter Claressa Shields, the multi-time world champion, the self-proclaimed GWA, greatest woman of all time. A woman whose entire persona is built on absolute dominance, untouchable confidence, and an impenetrable $8 million financial shield. On paper, it looked like a match made in PR heaven, two ruthless, self-made figures uniting to create a new power dynamic that could dominate headlines and silence the critics. But behind the manicured red carpet appearances, behind the strategically timed paparazzi walks, and behind the aggressive Instagram flexing, the foundation was made of absolute dust. Insiders close to both camps have been dropping subtle hints for over 18 months that this relationship was born out of spite, sustained by ego, and fueled by a desperate desire to control the narrative. Think back to the initial red flags that everyone tried to brush off as simple media friction. Remember the infamous interview where Claressa sat boldly in front of the cameras, adjusted her designer jewelry, and declared with total unshakable confidence that she was utterly submissive to her man? She painted a picture of domestic tranquility, of a woman who had finally met her match, a woman who had willingly put down her gloves to be shielded by a real king. The internet went into a complete frenzy. People were debating gender roles, authority, and relationships for 3 straight days. But then came the terrifying shift. Less than 72 hours after that submission interview aired to millions, Claressa turned around and dropped a chilling, deeply personal accusation across social media. alleging that the very same man possessed a secret, deeply buried gay fetish. The internet froze. How does a woman transition from preaching total domestic submission on Tuesday to launching a scorched earth psychological attack on Friday? The math simply wasn't matching, honey. The public was left holding two completely contradictory statements, trying to figure out which version of Claressa was real. Was she the serene, submissive partner living in bliss, or was she a master strategist using nuclear personal secrets as a weapon the second the power dynamic shifted in the bedroom? And let's not forget the ghostly presence of the past hanging over every single move they made. While Claressa was parading her wealth and her unbothered attitude, the family of her late ex-partner, Tony Riches, was stepping forward from funeral podiums and interview chairs, painting a horrifying picture of her true character. They didn't call her a champion. They didn't call her an icon. They called her a calculating, relentless bully. They described chilling moments at memorial services where she allegedly stood over grieving family members, using her physical proximity and social power to intimidate them while the cameras were rolling. They spoke of a pattern, a dark, repetitive cycle where Claressa would draw a man into her web, demand his absolute allegiance, and the very second he tried to reclaim his autonomy, she would deploy a terrifying mix of public character assassination, leaked personal details, and psychological warfare. Papoose saw all of these warnings. The entire world saw the warnings. The blogs were writing about it daily, the comment sections were begging him to tread lightly, and his own longtime associates were quietly pulling him aside in studio sessions, warning him that he was playing with a level of fire that could incinerate everything he had built over 30 years in the music business. But Papoose thought he was different. He thought his veteran status, his sharp street intelligence, and his calm demeanor could tame a storm that had already destroyed every man who came before him. He thought he could use the relationship to bounce back from his humiliating public split with Remy, proving to the world that he was still the ultimate prize. Instead, he walked straight into the middle of a carefully constructed trap. For months, the tension behind closed doors was reaching a fever pitch. Sources tell us that the arguments were no longer about simple disagreements over schedules or public appearances. They were loud, chaotic, and destructive screaming matches that shook the walls of luxury hotel suites from New York to Miami. Money was thrown, rings were snatched off fingers, and ring cameras were constantly monitoring every single entry and exit. The dynamic had devolved from a power couple into a high-stakes standoff where both parties were secretly gathering leverage, waiting for the exact right moment to press the detonation button. The atmosphere was so thick with paranoia that both sides were reportedly recording phone calls, screenshotting private text threads, and saving security footage. It wasn't a romance anymore. It was a Cold War waiting for a single spark. And that spark didn't just ignite a flame, baby. It set off a thermonuclear explosion that rocked the entire media landscape at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time last night. It all began when an anonymous, high-level insider handle on an encrypted messaging platform began dropping a series of cryptic countdown timers, accompanied by blurred, highly explicit thumbnails. At first, the internet assumed it was just another high-tech phishing scam or a cheap clout-chasing stunt. But as the clock struck zero, the raw, unedited, horrifying reality hit the web like a tidal wave. A collection of ultra-private, intensely explicit bedroom photos and high-definition video clips showing Claressa Shields in the most vulnerable, uncompromised positions imaginable were leaked directly to the dark web and mirrored across dozens of major social media channels within minutes. We are not talking about blurry, distant, ambiguous snapshots, honey. We are talking about crystal clear, ring camera-style wide-angle footage capturing intimate moments inside a high-end private residence. The exact same residence that Papoose has been renting for the last 6 months. The internet instantly went into a state of total unbridled paralysis. Millions of people were refreshing their feeds in absolute disbelief as the images began trending globally across every major platform, bypassing content filters faster than moderation teams could take them down. The detail that sent the public into an absolute tailspin was what was visible in the background of the leaked video frames. Resting clearly on the marble nightstand right beside the bed was a custom, gold-plated chain featuring Papoose's signature logo, a piece of jewelry that is completely unique and owned solely by him. The implication was immediate, violent, and devastating. The footage had been captured inside his personal sanctuary, using security equipment linked directly to his private accounts. Before Claressa's legal team could even draft an emergency cease and desist order, before her PR representatives could construct a basic damage control statement, Papoose did something that nobody in the industry saw coming. He didn't go dark. He didn't release a polished corporate PR statement through his publicist. He went live directly from his personal account to a rapidly exploding audience of over 400,000 panicked, screaming viewers. His face was drawn, his eyes were cold as ice, and his voice carried a terrifying, quiet rage that made every person watching freeze in their tracks. He didn't blink. He didn't hesitate. He looked directly into the camera lens and delivered a brutal, merciless public execution of his relationship. "I am officially done," Papoose declared, his voice echoing through the silence of his private studio. "I am standing here today as a man who has been pushed past his absolute limit. I am publicly and permanently severing every single tie, every contract, every personal and business connection with Claressa Shields. What happened tonight is the ultimate line of disrespect. I will not have my name, my brand, my legacy, or my peace dragged through the mud by someone who operates in chaotic darkness. She is completely cut off. Don't call my phone, don't have your team reach out to my lawyers, and don't ever mention my name again. It is over." The comment section exploded into a chaotic sea of caps lock, red heart emojis, and stunned disbelief. The chat was moving so fast you couldn't even read a single sentence. People were screaming that Papoose was totally justified, that he was protecting his dignity, that he was cutting his losses before his entire career was pulled down into the gutter with her. He was standing there like a man who had finally broken free from a toxic spell, ready to wash his hands of the madness forever. He was walking away as the aggrieved party, the honorable man who had simply stepped into a bad situation and was now making a clean, dignified exit. But honey, remember what I always tell you on Tea with Stella. In the world of high-stakes celebrity drama, the first story to air is almost never the actual truth. Just as Papoose was about to end the live stream, stepping back from the camera with a look of finality, his phone began ringing furiously on the table beside him. The screen lit up with a caller ID that sent a visible shockwave across his face. He tried to quickly swipe the stream off, but he wasn't fast enough. The camera caught the brief, horrifying glimpse of an incoming encrypted file transfer notification directly from an unknown number, accompanied by a text preview that read, "Look at the timestamp on camera 4 before you lie to these people." Papoose's face went completely ghost white. His hands visibly shook as he reached out to cut the feed, leaving 400,000 viewers hanging off the edge of a brutal, terrifying cliff. What did that timestamp say? What was captured on camera for? The chat went into absolute hysterics, but the live stream was already gone, leaving behind a wall of pure, unadulterated suspense. If Papoose thought cutting that live stream was going to buy him time to regain control of the narrative, he severely underestimated the terrifying force that is Claressa Shields when she is backed into a corner. Less than 45 minutes after Papoose's live stream cut to black, Claressa didn't just enter the chat, she completely obliterated it. She launched an emergency press stream directly from her gym facility, flanked by 2 high-powered celebrity defense attorneys and a team of forensic digital investigators. She was not crying. She was not trembling. She was radiating a cold, dangerous, lethal energy that made every single person watching realize that the real war had only just begun. She stepped up to the microphone, looked straight through the screen with eyes like polished steel, and dropped a nuclear bombshell that completely inverted the entire story. "Papoose stood in front of the world tonight and acted like a victim," Claressa stated, her voice steady, sharp, and dripping with absolute venom. "He stood there and pretended that he was walking away from me because of a leak that humiliated his delicate pride. But what he didn't tell you, what he was terrified to let you know, is that the Ring camera footage that was leaked tonight didn't come from a hacker. It didn't come from an outside party. The IP address that accessed those cloud files, the IP address that downloaded those private bedroom videos at 1:14 a.m. yesterday morning, belongs to a private network router registered directly to Papoose's personal production company." What? The internet collectively lost its absolute mind. The entire narrative shifted on its axis in a fraction of a second. Claressa didn't just stop at the IP address, honey. She brought out receipts, real-time digital logs, and court-stamped subpoenas, holding them directly up to the high-definition camera lens for the world to see. She alleged, with full legal backing, that Papoose himself had deliberately engineered, executed, and authorized the leak of those explicit videos as a desperate, ruthless preemptive strike because he knew what she was preparing to expose about him. He leaked those photos of me to destroy my credibility before I could drop the real news, Claressa screamed, leaning directly into the microphone as her legal team stood stoically beside her. He wanted to turn the public against me. He wanted to make me look crazy, reckless, and compromised, so that when I revealed the truth about where his money has been going, nobody would believe me. But I have the banking records, Papoose. I have the wire receipts. I have the secret offshore transactions. Claressa then dropped the ultimate devastating twist that sent shockwaves through the entire music and legal industries. She revealed that for the past 14 months, Papoose had allegedly been secretly funneling hundreds of thousands of dollars out of their joint venture accounts and directing those funds straight into a hidden, undisclosed legal trust fund set up specifically for Remy. Ma, baby, are you hearing this? She claimed that Papoose and Remy's public separation was a massive, highly calculated, fraudulent smokescreen designed to shield their collective assets from ongoing corporate lawsuits and tax investigations, while using Claressa's $8 million empire as an unwitting financial washing machine to fund their private legal battles. You were never saving me, Papoose, Claressa roared, striking the podium with her fist. You were using me. You were using my name, my reputation, my clean record, and my hard-earned capital to pay off the massive debts you and Remy accumulated over the last decade. You played in my face, you used my home, and when I caught you red-handed transferring another $50,000 2 nights ago, you panicked and leaked my private bedroom footage to ruin my life before I could put you in federal handcuffs. Twitter instantly broke down. The servers were literally struggling to handle the insane volume of tweets. Hashtags like Papoose exposed, Claressa bombshell, justice for Claressa, and Remy and Papoose fraud were occupying the top 4 trending spots globally. Elite legal analysts began jumping onto live streams, reviewing the documents Claressa held up on camera, and confirming that if those wire transfer logs are authenticated in a court of law, Papoose isn't just facing a massive civil lawsuit for non-consensual explicit content distribution, he could be facing severe federal financial fraud charges that carry actual prison time. Industry figures were completely stunned into silence. Major brands that had active endorsement deals with Papoose began frantically scrubbing his image from their websites within hours. The fallout was reaching heights that nobody could have predicted. The entire narrative of the loyal, unbothered, dignified man had been completely shattered into a million pieces, replacing it with the terrifying image of a master manipulator caught in a web of his own creation. And yet, as the internet burned around him, as the legal threats mounted to a terrifying peak, a single ominous post appeared on Papoose's official story just 20 minutes later. It contained no text, no audio, and no explanation, just a 10-second video clip showing a silent, dimly lit courtroom hallway with the date of tomorrow morning stamped at the bottom. The suspense was reaching an unbearable, suffocating climax. Honey, at this point, the internet wasn't just discussing the drama, it was completely consumed by it. Social media had officially split into 2 aggressive, warring factions, and every single celebrity, commentator, and hip-hop veteran felt compelled to pick a side in what was quickly becoming the messiest public feud of the decade. On one side, you had the fiercely loyal supporters of Claressa Shields, rallying under the banner of protection for Claressa. Women's advocacy groups, high-profile female athletes, and prominent media personalities stepped forward to fiercely condemn Papoose. They argued that regardless of the financial disputes, regardless of the behind-the-scenes business chaos, the act of allegedly leaking a woman's intimate, private bedroom footage is the ultimate form of betrayal and digital violence. Cardi B took to her Instagram Live, pacing back and forth in her mansion, absolutely tearing into the situation with unfiltered rage. I don't care what kind of argument y'all had, Cardi yelled to over 200,000 live viewers. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the contracts. The second a man touches private security footage of a woman and puts it on the internet to humiliate her, he loses every single ounce of respect. It's disgusting, it's calculated, and it's weak. Claressa built her own bag. She earned every single dollar. And for these industry men to try and dismantle her dignity because they couldn't control her is sick. On the opposing side, a massive contingent of fans and hip-hop traditionalists were rushing to Papoose's defense, claiming that Claressa's press conference was nothing more than a masterclass in high-level deflection and psychological warfare. They pointed out her documented history of explosive, scorched-earth public responses whenever a relationship dissolved. Controversial podcast host academics jumped on a 6-hour emergency live stream, breaking down every single frame of Claressa's press conference with a fine-tooth comb. "Y'all are falling for the classical play," academics shouted, slamming his desk. "Look at the timing. The second Papoose goes live and dumps her publicly, the second her reputation takes a hit over the bedroom photos, she suddenly invents a massive multi-million-dollar financial fraud conspiracy involving Remy Ma? Where were these bank documents last week? Why didn't she go to the FBI 3 months ago if he was stealing her money?" She is using the legal threat as a smokescreen to obscure the fact that her private life is in total shambles. Papoose is a veteran. He's been clean for 30 years in this business. You think he's gonna risk his entire freedom to leak a video? It doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, 50 Cent, who seems to have a supernatural radar for whenever high-stakes drama erupts, could not resist jumping headfirst into the chaotic fray. He posted an old iconic picture of Papoose and Remy Ma looking deeply stressed at an award show, captioning it with his trademark merciless humor. "Damn Pap, I told you to stay away from them Ring cameras. Now you got the champ threatening to put federal charges on you, while Remy's in the back counting the offshore wire transfers. I'm deleting this in 5 minutes, so don't call my phone asking for legal defense money." True to his word, 50 Cent deleted the post precisely 4 minutes later, leaving his millions of followers screaming in the comments and sparking a whole sub-thread of meme culture that spread across TikTok like wildfire. The mainstream news outlets were now picking up the story. Major entertainment networks, sports broadcasts, and business journals were analyzing the potential financial fallouts. Claressa's upcoming multi-million-dollar championship fight was suddenly hanging by an incredibly thin thread, with sponsors expressing deep concern over the volatile legal circus surrounding her training camp. Promoters were holding emergency board meetings, terrified that the impending court orders and subpoenas could disrupt the event entirely. To make matters infinitely worse, legal experts began weighing in on national news broadcasts, warning that if Claressa's allegations regarding the wire transfers hold true, the Internal Revenue Service and federal prosecutors could freeze every single account tied to Papoose, Claressa, and Remy Ma pending a full forensic audit. The entire infrastructure of 3 massive public figures was on the absolute brink of total financial paralysis. The public was utterly torn. Comment sections under every blog post were averaging over 50,000 comments per hour. Was Claressa a brave victim standing up against a deeply entrenched industry network that tried to exploit her wealth and violate her privacy? Or was she a master of PR spin, deploying nuclear financial accusations to completely destroy the man who dared to publicly dump her? The tension was so thick you could physically cut it with a knife, and the entire internet was sitting on the absolute edge of their seats, waiting for the next grenade to be thrown. And just when everyone thought the situation had reached its absolute limit, just when the public thought there couldn't possibly be another layer to uncover, the absolute unthinkable happened at 11:45 p.m. tonight. A completely unexpected, unannounced third party entered the legal battlefield, dropping a bomb so massive it makes everything we've talked about sound like child's play. A confidential legal representative acting on behalf of Remy Ma herself filed an emergency injunction in the County Superior Court. But it wasn't to sue Claressa, and it wasn't to defend Papoose. The emergency filing contained a sworn, legally binding affidavit signed by Remy Ma that completely detonated both Papoose and Claressa's cover story. In the official court affidavit, which was leaked directly to major news desks late tonight, Remy Ma explicitly states under penalty of perjury that the alleged joint venture accounts were never controlled by Papoose or Claressa at all. She submitted verified corporate records showing that the entire financial structure, including the private security systems, the luxury properties, and the multi-million-dollar investment funds, was actually owned and managed by a third silent corporate entity that was co-signed by none other than Tony Rich's surviving estate. What on earth is going on? Honey, take a deep breath because your mind is about to be completely blown. The affidavit alleges that Papoose, Claressa, and Tony Rich's had entered into a secret, legally binding three-way media trust over 2 years ago, before Tony's tragic passing. The entire dynamic we have been watching on social media for the past 18 months, the fights, the public shade, the submissive interviews, the gay fetish accusations, and even the public breakups, was allegedly part of a massive pre-orchestrated content and media rights contract designed to generate hundreds of millions of impressions, inflate their brand valuations, and execute a massive payout from a major media conglomerate. But here is the terrifying twist that will leave you shivering. Remy Ma's affidavit goes on to claim that the contract contained a lethal hidden clause. If any party broke character, if any party tried to back out early, or if any party released real, unscripted bedroom footage without the explicit consent of the entire corporate board, they would automatically forfeit every single cent of their life savings to the remaining members. Remy Ma is officially asserting in court that the nude leak was not a random act of revenge by Papoose, nor was it a hack. She claims it was a desperate, scorched earth move executed because one of them realized the legal trap was closing in, and they chose to burn the entire house down rather than face the terrifying financial consequences of breaching the secret agreement. Neither Papoose nor Claressa are telling the truth to the public, the official legal document reads. They are both playing panicked roles in a collapsing narrative because they know that the master server containing the real, unedited audio from the night of the leak is currently sitting in a vault, locked under a federal court seal. And when that audio is unsealed, the world will finally learn who is actually standing in that bedroom holding the camera. Oh my God. The entire internet has just gone completely radio silent. Everything we thought we knew, every side we picked, every receipt we analyzed over the last 24 hours was just a single layer of a terrifying, multi-million-dollar legal trap that has gone completely off the rails. Papoose isn't just a bitter ex. Claressa isn't just an angry victim. Remy Ma isn't just a quiet bystander in the background. They are all caught in a web of their own creation, and the string is about to snap. As I am sitting here recording this right now, breaking news banners are flashing across every major network. The judge in the County Superior Court has just agreed to hold an emergency, closed-door hearing at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning to decide whether or not to unseal the master audio server. If that audio is released to the public tomorrow, we will hear every single word, every single name mentioned, and every single secret spoken in that room before the cameras started rolling. Someone's career is officially over by tomorrow afternoon. Someone is going to court, and someone might be going straight to federal prison. Honey, my head is absolutely spinning. My hands are literally shaking, and I need every single one of you in the comments section right now. This is officially the most insane, terrifying, high-stakes celebrity fallout we have ever covered on this channel. I need to know your immediate thoughts down below because I am reading every single comment today. Do you think Papoose knew about the secret contract all along? Is Claressa truly the victim of a massive digital setup? Or was she part of the master plan until it completely spiraled out of control? And what on earth is going to happen when that judge unseals that master audio server at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning? Drop your predictions, your theories, and your wildest reactions in the comments right now. Don't hold back. Let's get into it. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve, if you want to be the first to know the exact second that court audio is unsealed tomorrow, you need to hit that like button right now, subscribe to Tea with Stella, and turn on your notification bell. We are going to be dropping an emergency, real-time live update the very second that judge steps off the bench tomorrow morning. You do not want to miss a single second of what is coming next because, honey, this story is far from over. Stay safe, stay tuned, and I will see you all in the very next episode. Bye.